Welcome back to PodCats. My name is Avery Olmeyer. I'm here with Coach Davis, athletes Drew Mallet and Malia Carmack, and we're gonna be talking about the outdoor track season as they just got done with their conference. So, welcome to the podcast, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, Coach, I want to just go over a few things with about the transition from outdoor or indoor to outdoor. How do you prepare your team for the 3-week break in between the indoor and outdoor season? How do you transition from obviously the venues and different weather aspects?
Yeah, so the weather plays a big factor, especially early on. Being in Missouri in the Midwest, it takes a little bit for that wind to get down and the temperature to feel good. We actually host our first meet March 14th, and we're praying there's no snow or rain or anything because any little addition to the low temperatures always makes it a little miserable. But for the most part, we battle it pretty well. Our kids would rather be outside than inside. We're in the treadmills all winter long, and the treadmills are really good for pacing, and your body feels a lot better than the track. But it does take a little bit of time to kind of rewind back to the track a little bit, work your legs on the speed. We do a lot of endurance when we're inside. So that's kind of the hardest part. But this year was actually probably the best I've ever had in my 10 years of coaching, where we actually got outside with 2 or 3 weeks to go. So kids are ready for that. And then the transition with like spring break is kind of tough. Some kids are going to take care of business and some aren't going to take care of business. For the most part, the ones that do take care of business, it's pretty obvious in our sport. Somebody that doesn't put up shots in basketball could probably still put up 20 points a game if they're pretty talented. If you're a 22-second 200 runner and you don't do any work, it's going to be pretty obvious when you look at the time where you're at. So for us, it's just kind of making sure kids are accountable. But these two, as well as our other conference qualifiers, are kind of on like a little half-week break, kind of let their body reset. And then they're going to start doing some workouts next week on their spring break. So we had a Google form. They had to tell me what facilities they have if they go home and what they have, if they can do workouts, weight room, all that. So for the most part, our team does a really good job of being able to transition pretty easily and not have any issues when it comes to that stuff.
Awesome. And you kind of transitioned into my next question for you in the beginning of that question. What kind of advantage does a home meet provide? As on March 14th, like you said, you guys are coming back right off spring break with a home meet. What kind of advantage that provide for your athletes? And maybe even Malia and Drew could answer after you give your coach's insight.
Yeah. So for me, I don't think there's an advantage on our side because I get to do the less coaching I've ever done because I'm running everywhere trying to make sure everything's running smoothly, putting hurdles on the track. They're not getting their normal splits, but it is better in the way of like you get to sleep in your own bed. You don't have to worry about going anywhere. It's easier for families to travel. They know where they're going. We know where things are. A lot of times we go to a meet, someone will ask me where Javelin is or something. Everybody knows where everything is here. Everybody knows where to warm up everything. They don't have to ask me those sort of questions. So just the fact that you get to sleep in your own bed and not have to wake up at like 6:30 a.m. A lot of them will get roll out of bed around 8:30 or 9. I think we last year we had everybody there by 9. It makes it pretty easy. Just for me, it's a little more hectic, but I enjoy the fact that our track is pretty nice. Drew put down a school record time in the 200. We've had some really good times here on this track. It's proven it's a fast track. It's taken care of. So that's the other thing I really like about it. Why we added a second meet to our schedule is it's just nicer to be able to sleep in our own bed. And like we're done about 6 o'clock. Yeah, we got to clean up, but normally we have a 2 to 3 hour bus ride. So even if it takes an hour to clean up, we're still normally back to our houses a lot earlier.
Right. And then do either of you athletes have unique insights? I know Drew is originally from Lewis County, so maybe he has some unique insight into this.
Well, it's just nice to be able to like sleep in your own bed. I mean, obviously I still commute, so it's nice to be able to sleep in
Right.
your own bed and then just take that 10-minute drive from LaGrange up here. So that's so nice. And also like kind of what Coach Davis said, knowing where everything's at. Like when we go different places, all the different events that I do, I'm running around. It's nice at our home meet, I know where to go immediately. There's no like trying to guess like if something's closed. Like last year, Grandview had construction going on everywhere. Like you had to take long routes around one of their baseball fields to get out the javelin if they even had it that meet. So that was kind of confusing. So it's always nice at your home meet. And also, like Coach Davis said, our track's really nice now that Highlands built their track. They're not here all the time hosting a couple meets for junior high and high school. It's just us. So being able to have a fast facility at your own place is really nice. So.
Yeah, and Leah, do you have any other insights into what it's like staying here on campus and being able to walk to your venue, basically?
Yeah, so kind of just going off what Coach said, like having the support here, that's really nice. The students come out, more families come out, and then just being like more comfortable on the track or the runway, just because we train here and like we do hard workouts. So just being
Yeah.
And Malia gets a little bit of an advantage. Last year we went to CMU 3 times, and she's from 10 minutes from CMU, so she got to go sleep in her old bed growing up too. So for the
Right.
like, it's really nice just to be able to sleep in your own bed and not have to get up at a super early time compared to when we're on the road. That's probably the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, and then Malia, I had a couple questions for you. First of all, being a senior, both seniors, but I can kind of feel both these questions, both of you, but I'm going to ask you first. What is it like working with younger collegiate athletes that maybe don't have as much experience? How do you leverage some of the experience you have as a senior and kind of coach these younger athletes along?
Yeah, just really like encouraging them and then like seeing the potential. Like I always had older coaches and like older teammates tell me like you have the potential, like just trust the process. And like now that I am older and like I am improving and kind of seeing like trusting the process, I really see the potential in the younger ones and I try to encourage them and yeah, just let them know that there's potential there, that they can do good.
That's great. All right, Drew, I wanted to also congratulate you on getting second in the heptathlon at conference. What does that kind of achievement mean to you? Obviously, I think you got about 300 points more than you did in your last meet in the heptathlon. How does that translate? Some people that might not know exactly what all is involved in heptathlon and what does that exactly mean to you?
Well, it felt pretty good just to be able to PR in the last one of the year. So that's always nice to be able to, first time I ever scored in 45, almost 46. So it felt pretty good. We finally kind of put one all together all year. The first two, day one was good the first time, and then the second one, day two was good. So it's kind of frustrating the first two. If you don't look at it from like, if you're not there for like every event, like we took away some good stuff in the first couple, but then to be able to put it all together at conference was really good. It also leads to outdoor very well. Last year, we PR'd at conference again in the heptathlon going in the outdoor, and we scored more points outdoor. So hopefully we can keep that trend going, just be able to lead into the decathlon. Because we know it adds some events that we're better at outdoors, and just we feel like we're built for more events outdoors than other people are, the way we train and stuff like that. Just good momentum going outside.
Yeah, you kind of took one of my other questions. I was going to ask you about how you're preparing for the decathlon, but looks like the heptathlon kind of helps you do that. Can you maybe expound on that? How working in indoor can help with outdoor with the decathlon?
With a little bit of it, I mean, obviously shot puts the same, it changes a little bit. The shot changes more to metal as you go outside, but then like, I mean, we train speed and endurance all indoors. So I run the 4x4s and stuff, and I obviously have to run the 400 for the decathlon out of that. So we're already training for that indoors. It's not like we just switch. I know some of the multis, they don't do that. We try to be better in the distance aspect of it as well. Like it's 500 meters longer. It's not always my best thing, but it can be. We're trying to work on that too as well. We're always working to get better at endurance as well. And being able to be outside earlier too as well. I mean, being outside 2 weeks before indoor conference was huge for us personally because we have a pretty good group and we all want to be outside running, so that really helps.
All right, and then Malia, I was going to ask you, what kind of goals do you have personally for the season? I saw that you got fifth with the team in the 4x8 at the conference. What kind of goals and improvements do you have from indoor to outdoor? How does that transition look for you?
Yeah, kind of just keep PRing, like chipping away at my 800. I finally broke 230. That was really exciting. And then maybe like the 15. I don't know, I ran that a lot last year, so hopefully I can shave some time off of that. And then always the relays, those are my favorite. So hopefully we just keep shaving time off that.
And then, Coach, I was going to ask you what goals or expectations you have for the team this season. I know that's kind of a often asked question as a coach, but if you could maybe shed some light on that for some of our viewers.
Yeah, so I just want to continue to get better and keep working towards like this last weekend at our conference championship. It was really great to kind of like put things together that maybe some of the freshmen didn't really realize we had. I remember texting the four on the 4x8 earlier on in the week, and the two freshmen on the relays were kind of scared after I sent the text. And it was really supposed to be a text to calm them down about like, hey, I feel really confident in this. And then our two seniors, Malia and Delaney, took that as like a an extra like step to be able to go. And I even texted Malia on the side because once I found out the freshmen were freaking out a little bit, being like, "Hey, you need to be a calming presence when we go. It's why I'm going to put the stick in your hand first, so they don't have to think about it standing on the start line. They're going to see you establish what we want to do, and go from there." And I think that's a big thing for them is just keep working towards. feeling confidence, and hopefully getting two freshmen on the podium, getting a freshman on the podium and then a freshman all conference. I think will hopefully move us in the right direction. I feel like last year between indoor conference and outdoor, we really kind of exploded because we had a lot of people gain a lot of confidence. Malia included, Drew included, both really got on the podium last year, and I feel like the people that did and got all conference really kind of sparked themselves forward. We had a really good outdoor year, and despite indoor being a little injured this year, it felt like it went really good. So we want to continue those expectations. But the biggest thing is just taking care of business for us. We're pretty regulated with what we do. Our kids know my expectations. I don't have to really send too many texts about rules or anything like that. Just reminders from time to time when we get closer to conference about, drinking and making sure we're hydrating, all those sort of things as you kind of focus. So really, it's a well-oiled machine. I always say, like, if I was out for a week, the middle distance group could run itself and the sprint group could get through what they needed to do. I feel like 90% of them know what they're doing. It's just that last 10% where they get tight, they want to give up and they want to call it a day. And I just feel like we're kind of a well-oiled machine. I could miss a meet. I could miss a weekend for something, and I know that everybody will get it done. And especially with these two leaders we have on the team, it goes a long ways just knowing what you're going to have to do. I don't have to tell them to warm up. When we're at Northwest last week for conference, our team camps were between 4 or 5 teams, and you could tell coaches were like, "Hey, when are you going to warm up?" And I don't have to do that to our kids. Our kids know what's the task at hand, what they got to do, and they just take care of business. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into another question I have for Malia. What has it been like, obviously you as a senior, working with Delaney and both kind of in that leadership role as veterans on the squad? How does that shape out this year and maybe in years past when you've worked with her?
So Delaney and I are pretty close. She's an amazing athlete, so it's been really awesome having her healthy and being able to run on our relays because she helps out a lot. I'm just feeling really blessed with my whole like running career here, transitioning from basketball to running. I feel like it was a good choice, and yeah, I'm just feeling really blessed.
All right, and then I was going to ask a little less serious question at the end, maybe a couple little less serious questions at the end. As we transition from indoor to outdoor, what is the craziest experience, maybe coach first, that you've had in an outdoor weather event?
Um, I want to say it was 2020 or 2021, maybe even 2019. We had Alabama used to host, like Gulf Shores, Alabama used to host nationals, and they had like tsunami-like conditions where, like, if it was red flag, they had to pull us off the track. We had standing puddles. And normally, like with track, everything's very regulated. Like, you have 15 minutes before the next event. And I had a girl that year in the 15 and the 800 in their back-to-back events, but there's normally an hour break. Well, they decided they're not going to do the hour break because we've already delayed like 7 hours. We're getting into the night. So yeah, Michelle Mum had to run the 1500 and came back like 8 minutes later and was all American in the eight because she made the final in both. So that was probably one of the more hectic ones I've had. But I had a shot putter down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, that they literally were squeegeeing water out of every throw. That's how much rain they'd gotten that week, and it's just bowled up in there. And then there's just been a couple, like, here odd end things. Like, I think it was 2 years ago at Grandview. There was like tornado-like conditions downtown, but it wasn't like where we were. And so, like, some of the officials didn't want to show up, so I was running triple and long jump, and then like also helping their coach decide when we're going to go into a weather delay because he didn't want to have to be the only one to make a decision. So we've had a couple odd end things. I know Drew and Malia's freshman year before I was here, it snowed the night before our home meet here, and they were like shoveling the track to make sure everything was good. So there's always something when it comes outdoor. Everybody doesn't like indoor for the way of times are a little bit slower, but I love that you don't have to worry about wind, weather, anything other than on the trip up. It's really nice for me.
Yeah, and then either of you have any stories besides the Grandview one? I mean, obviously that's a big that's a big trip up in any meet, but I don't know if you don't have any stories. I've got a second kind of unserious question, and this has kind of been a viral question online. I don't know if you've seen the Usain Bolt Joey Chestnut debate, but if before 100 meter, Usain Bolt and Joey Chestnut had to eat 2 hot dogs, who would win the race? I just want to hear all three of your guys' opinions on that.
Uh,
Um, I guess personally I don't know how fast Usain Bolt can eat a hot dog. If he can even just get it down halfway decent, I think he's got Joey beat. Because I don't think Joey's running real fast in the 100. Like,
No, he's not.
no, I'd probably give it to Usain. I think he can get down at least two. That's not too.
All right.
I'm
Do
also
either of you have an opinion?
oh,
I actually have a strong opinion on it. I know Joey Chestnut. Like I've read some of his diaries and like how he trains and everything, and he's running mileage a day, like mileage, like 6, 7, 10 miles a day because he has to, be able to keep the calorie count up, but so he has to burn things. So I actually think it would be a really good race because I think Usain Bolt is that fast that he could probably eat a hot dog probably faster than an average human because when you're running that fast, you're also burning a lot of calories. So his calorie intake in his career was probably like one of the highest of any 100-meter sprinter ever. He was like always quoted saying he's like the biggest sweater of all time because he burned through calories so much during workouts. So I actually think like I would say like it's going to come down to like a lean at the end. I don't know who gets it, but I could probably give it to Joey.
All right. Well, on that note, obviously I wanted to end it on an unserious note, but thank you guys so much for doing this podcast, and we really appreciate you guys coming in and telling us about a little bit about your season before the outdoor season gets started.
Yeah, thanks, Avery. I appreciate it. I want to say one last thing about both these two. You mentioned the thing about Delaney and how her and Malia work together. Malia really had to take a big leadership role this year with our middle distance group. With Delaney's injury, she ran December 5th and then didn't run until conference this last weekend. So she was really leading that group of middle distance girls, and it really showed like by the end of the year when Delaney came back that those girls had a lot of confidence. A lot of that comes from Malia, so she deserves a lot of credit for what that group did. And then on top of that, Drew does 10 events when it comes outdoors, plus triple and some other things that he does on the side. The 4x4s, 4x1s, all that. He's part of all of our leadership groups essentially because he has to throw, jump, sprint, vault, hurdle, run distance, and it's really cool. I get to spend a lot of time with these two in particular because they both do the cross country side of things and they both have qualified for conference. So I'm really with them from August 8th to May 1st and 2nd, whenever it is, sometimes even longer. But I just really want to say I really appreciate what they've done for me in my career and what they've mean to this team because it's a lot.
That's awesome. I mean, we always like to hear coaches' insights about athletes, and obviously these two are two of your best on your team. So this year and throughout the years. So thanks again for doing the podcast, and we'll be back with another episode pretty shortly. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Avery.
Thank you.
Thank you.